Hello and a rainy welcome back to the channel of nonsense and the Audi Q6 e-tron. A car, if nothing else, proves that two cars built with the same bits can feel very different, because underneath, this is very similar to the Porsche Macan EV I had on the channel a couple of months ago. The Macan's more expensive, it's faster, it's sharper handling. This is, well, it's just very different. It's very much more Audi. Stay tuned and watch the rest of the video to find out what that means while I get run over. Oh, what a glorious day to be filming a doom blue car. But if you want an Audi Q6 e-tron, it's going to cost £61,500 for a basic sport model with a smaller 75 kilowatt hour battery. You're really going to want an S-line model, performance model with the bigger battery. It's got a 95 kilowatt hour battery like most of the Porsche Macan range. 63.5 grand. This one's actually 70 grand after options. List prices you can really take with a pinch of salt with this car though, because there are lots of lightly used and nearly new ones with up to £20,000 off the list price. So these are actually going for about 50 to 60 grand on the used market. Says something, doesn't it? Looks wise, I think the Q6 e-tron doesn't really do enough to distinguish itself from its cheaper brother, the Q4 e-tron, to be honest. Maybe it's just me, but Audi's current design language is all fairly identikit, but I guess people will say 'twas ever thus. But anyway, you've got some gloss black elements down here, some grey elements here. This plasma blue paint was 725 quid. In British weather, it just looks fairly flat, fairly boring. Got the big white Audi logo on the front, which again is very 2D looking now by design. I don't know if that's especially attractive though. You've got these LED headlights, which have got a million-ty billion-ty pixels in them and does different patterns when you unlock it and things like that. Sorry, daytime running lights, headlights are actually down there. And it's got 20-inch alloys on this S-line model. I think it looks a little bit meh, personally. Okay, I'm getting drenched, shows my camera. This is 4.8 meters long, it weighs 2.2 tons. It's got disc brakes at the back, not drum brakes like some other electric cars. And there is a sportback version which has a swoopier roofline for more efficiency. And that nudges the smaller wheeled version with the big battery just over 400 miles of official claimed range. That's about to break. I'm getting you inside. Inside, the Q6 e-tron gets Audi's latest dashboard architecture. So you've got a 15-inch screen there for your entertainment with wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, climate control, the speed limit warning stuff, the ADAS, that's all in there. There are very few physical buttons in this car, which is a bit annoying. And you've got a 12-inch digital dashboard there. Now this one has got the sound and vision pack, which adds a massive and sometimes quite distracting head-up display. It adds the Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is very nice, with headrest speakers as well, which tell you when the M25 has traffic right in your ears, like some kind of kinky traffic ASMR sex god. And you've got upgraded ambient lighting, so you've got a light strip across the dashboard, which kind of shows you when you're indicating and when you're charging, and it changes colour depending on your driving modes. Audi's steering wheel with some haptic buttons on it. I don't love it, to be honest. Just a little bit cheap looking, I feel, and they've done the same thing as in that A6 I reviewed the other day, of putting the light controls on the door there along with the mirror controls, and they're all haptics. They're quite hard to feel for when you're driving along. It's just a little bit bland, a little bit of a shame. Too much shiny black plastic down there. It is already covered in scratches, fingerprints and pubic lice. Some USB-Cs down there, a 12-volt socket. Nice big glove box though, and I guess it all does look very posh, I guess, if that's your thing, but that really is just a code word for saying everything is black and a little bit dreary. Right, in terms of tech though, they all get adaptive cruise control. S-lines get this heated steering wheel, and they all get a start-stop button, which is very confusing because when you hop into this car, it does a Polestar and it automatically turns itself on just by sitting in it with the key. So if you're like me, you get in and you press that button, it turns the car off. So you'll get in and be like, why am I not driving? It's because you've got in, pressed the start button, and it's actually turned the car off. Slight bit of user experience nightmare, that they need to fix that. And this shiny bit of black plastic there can be another screen for the passenger, like in the Audi A6 that I reviewed the other week. But it's not fitted this one, so you've just got shiny black plastic that looks like it should be a screen, but isn't. Backseat space in the back of the Q6 e-tron is pretty good, but nothing groundbreaking. I can't imagine it's that far off what you get in the Q4. So I'm 6'3", that will go forward a little bit when I turn the car on. And I've got headroom, and yeah, it's okay. I can just about get my feet a little bit under that seat, but there's not acres of footroom there. You've got a very wide, very flat middle seat, a flat floor as well. So getting a middle seat passenger in the back is not going to be a massive trial, to be honest. Big door bins, which aren't felt lined, but the doors open nice and wide. The Isofix covers are behind little flaps that slide out of the way so you don't have to remove them and then consequently lose them. I've got heated rear seats, a couple of USB-Cs down there, and a centre armrest. It's all very lovely. Got some leather on the doors there. That's not actually really scratchy plastic. It all feels reasonably nice back here. The panoramic sunroof isn't fitted to this car, but you can get one for £1,500, and that should brighten up the rear seats somewhat, because it is a little bit gloomy in here. It feels a bit like the inside of my trousers. I mean black, because they're black jeans. Right, sort of stopped raining. Honestly, if I had hair, I'd be looking like a drowned spaniel right now. But let's talk about the backside of the Q6 e-tron. It's got a light bar. It looks fairly bland and like many other Audis, to be honest. Now, this one can tow 2 tons. If you get the dual motor Quattro version, it can tow 2.4 tons, which isn't to be sniffed at, to be honest. The tow bar is £1,050 from Audi. Now, the boot is a little bit disappointing on paper. 526 litres in this, 511 in the swoopier Sportback. Things like Skoda Enyaq has a much bigger boot than this. I know it's a much cheaper car, but it sort of does the same job. Under here, though, you have got a massive well there for stuffing cables into. You've got nets at the side here, but I think they're part of a £265, yes, program of nets or something like that. You've got levers here to fold the rear seats down. It's sort of okay. I just wish it was a little bit bigger on paper for the size of the car. Right, it's time for the most moist flap chat section I've ever done. You prod that and it eventually opens quite slowly. Now, this car is on an 800-volt architecture, which is good. You get some really good fast charging speeds out of this. If you get the entry-level one of these with 76 kilowatt-hour battery, that will do about 300 miles-ish, claimed on paper. Expect more like 230, 240 miles. And that can fast charge from 10 to 80% in about 21 minutes at about 220 kilowatts, fact fans. Now, that's got 250 horsepower, that car. This one's got the bigger battery and just over 300 horsepower, and this can do a claimed 350 miles of range on paper. But I've only been getting 3 miles per kilowatt hour out of this, so I'm getting more like 270, 280 miles of range in the real world. This one can fast charge a bit better as well, up to 270 kilowatts, but we're still talking about 22 minutes for that 10 to 80% charge. Loads of numbers there. This one will do 0 to 62 in about 6.7 seconds, so these aren't really rocket ship fast EVs. For that, you'll want the SQ6 with nearly 500 horsepower, but that is nearly 100,000 pounds, which is ridiculous. It's got air suspension and lots of other lovely stuff. But look at this, there's no button to close this, so you kind of have to start it on its way and then it closes, and there's a flap on the other side as well, but it hasn't got a CCS connector. That's just for your slow charging. That was a lot of flap talk. Now, let me just wipe the wet flaps. Right, excuse the wetness of me and the car, but to go for a drive in the Q6 e-tron, you hop behind the wheel and put it back into D. Don't press the start button, you idiot. Why do you press the start button? Now, I'm actually just going to turn around. This doesn't have any clever four-wheel steering or anything like that. And you also can't get air suspension on it anymore in the UK until you get the fast SQ6. And you might think, being based on the same platform as a Porsche Macan, this is going to be fast. And it's okay, I suppose. 300 horsepower-ish, 326, I think, with launch control enabled. And with launch control, you're going to do 0 to 62 in 6.6 seconds. So this one's rear motor. It's not whip-snap fast. It's just more than fast enough. It's perfectly fine for everyday driving, and probably faster than you might expect, to be honest. But if you come out of a Macan and get in this, you'll notice certain things. The steering in this is a lot lighter, it's a lot more Audi and a lot less Porsche. But other than that, there are some similarities. This is surprisingly fun to drive when you start pressing on. You feel yourself being pushed out of corners when you boot it, not being dragged by a scrabbly front-wheel drive setup. And it rides quite nicely as well, despite being on just passive, normal dampers. This 2.2 ton SUV hasn't annoyed me with its ride. Despite having 20-inch wheels and weighing more than my house, it is actually quite comfortable. It's also quite refined as well, as you would hope from an Audi. So I've done Well, I've done 380 miles in it, nearly all of which was motorway driving. Was that my GoPro falling off? Hang on. No, my GoPro is still there somehow. Sorry, I just heard a very loud bang on the roof and thought that was my GoPro falling off. So other than GoPro smashing into the roof, refinement is really quite good in this car. It's just, I don't know, it's an Audi, it gets out of your way, and it's just sort of an easy thing to live with. And apparently the SQ6, although it's faster in a straight line with 500 horsepower-ish, that's got 0 to 62 times 4.4 seconds. I've heard rumours that feels just like this, but faster in a straight line. Doesn't feel like a special fast Audi really should. But in the here and now, this is easy to live with. You've got big door mirrors, the view out the back's not actually that bad, and all of these have got a 360-degree camera as standard. So it's easy to park, but for some reason, it doesn't really feel like an SUV when you're sitting in it. It's almost like a raised hatchback, and admittedly, I like having my seat low, but with the seat low, the view out the front, I don't know, something about it that makes it quite hard to place on a narrow country road. I often think, oh, I'm quite far over already, that car coming towards me needs to do its bit, and it's actually me that isn't quite close enough to the hedge, because this feels pretty freaking wide, to be honest, and judging where that front left wheel is, I don't know, just harder than most other cars. I don't know if it's something about the design of the bonnet, the way you can't really see that corner. Yeah, what I would say is if you drive this down lots of narrow roads, you might find it a bit more stressful than you would like. I'm sure you would get used to it over time, but hey ho, there we are. Otherwise, yeah, it's perfectly pleasant to drive. The brakes are nice and easy to modulate. There's no real annoying quirks about it dynamically. It's just quite forgettable, which is good for a family SUV, because it means you can focus on the more important things in life, like not crashing your children into a pub. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Now, because this Q6 e-tron is on an all-new electric platform that's all very shiny and exciting, had loads of money pumped into it, I was hoping this rear motor version of the Q6 would be really quite efficient, and it is not really. Over 380 miles, I have averaged 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour. It's not great, is it? Anything under 3 is pretty average, I find, but hey, it's a big, luxurious, heavy SUV. I wish it was more like 3.5. The only thing I would say is I got excited about this car, this platform, boring, I get excited about car platforms. It's called Premium Platform Electric, and it was co-developed by Porsche and Audi for their kind of smaller-ish SUVs. And it's got 800-volt architecture, which, as I've said, allows for some really good fast charging speeds. 270 kilowatts makes this among one of the fastest charging EVs currently on sale. But I've taken it to a couple of 350 kilowatt chargers, a GridServe one and an Ionity one, and I struggled to get more than 130 kilowatts into it, which is down to chargers, not the car. But it does just make me realise that I shouldn't get too excited about ridiculous fast charging claims, because the reality is very different. Look, there's a big van coming the other way. Oh God. Yeah, this hasn't done wonders for my confidence driving on narrow roads. Right, should we do a quick launch? I'll put it in sport mode, dynamic, and just see if I can launch it. Yeah, it's not that fast off the line. It's got a very, very measured acceleration. Admittedly, it's very wet at the moment, but it doesn't really do a hard full bore start. Let's try that again. There's a little bit of a jolt, and then it just feels like there's a single rear motor trying to move 2.2 tons, and it really feels it. So don't buy this expecting it to rip your face off, even though it's called the Sport Performance one. Anyway, I've waffled on far too long about this e-tron. It's perfectly fine to live with. And, you know, when you actually do start driving it a bit like a knob, there are some little elements of Porschiness in there. But hey ho, back to me for a proper, soggy conclusion. Oh my God, you can do donuts in it. Time to quickly conclude my thoughts of living with the Q6 e-tron for a week and nearly 400 miles. It's an expensive electric car that's got some funky tech and some potential fast charging speeds. But as I said, actually finding a charger that can deliver 270 kilowatts in the UK at the moment is quite tricky. I do just think this isn't quite excellent enough for the money Audi is asking. It's comfortable enough to drive, it's spacious enough. It feels okay. The interior is a little bit too chintzy, a little bit too shiny for my liking. Honestly, as a normal person who will never be able to afford a £70,000 electric car, I do think a Skoda Enyaq does all of the stuff this does for half the price. Well, not quite half the price, but getting on for it. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. I'm gonna let this man run past. So there we have it. It's one of these cars that's sort of fine, but when you're charging £70,000 for sort of fine, I don't think that is actually all that fine. It's gonna get 7 Tim Roadies out of 10, but fine. Anyway, if you want an EV that's a bit like this, but more interesting to drive, just get the Porsche Macan. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you have liked it, please hit like, go down to the comments and tell me how good I look wet. No, say something in German. Subscribe to the channel, so I've got more nonsense coming soon in which I will not be getting drenched to my pants. Goodbye. Not in a good way, anyway.